This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, here we are in Love Community. We're back again. This is our series on what men of God want with your girls, Anja and Nicole, and our very special guest, Mr. Justin Norwood. We are just going to jump right in. We're giving about 45 minutes because this is such a special series. We want to have Justin just jump right in and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what do you do? Let the people know.
Yeah. So I am still technically, I guess you would say, a newlywed. We've been married. I've been married about 3 years. Well, let me back up a little bit. I moved to Georgia in 2008. So I'm pretty much straight out of college from Mississippi. I became a member of World Changers about 2008, and I served on a lot of different ministries there. Singles ministry being one of the big ones that I served on. I eventually, fast forwarding a little bit, eventually met my wife at church, and and I can go through that story with you guys, I guess, in a little bit. But I actually met my wife there at church at World Changers, the Marietta location when they had the satellite locations.
Okay.
And yeah,
Shout
and
out to
then
World
just
Changers.
yeah, yeah. And so what I do, I right now I currently work as an auditor for Glock, the firearms manufacturing company. So I do that, and a full time husband and dad. So
Awesome.
mhm.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Okay, so Justin, we have been asking men all over the place, what is it that men of God want? Everybody's different. I am so eager to hear, and I'm sure everybody else is too. We want to know your perspective on what is it that men of God want. Let us have it.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm gonna start with a word, and then I'm gonna go into the rest of it. So, in a word, love. You know what I'm saying? So, that's the basis or the foundation of what we're looking for. So, we want to be loved. We want somebody who loves us not just for what we can necessarily do, not just the provision and the protection, but somebody that actually loves us. Somebody that's very supportive. Feminine, kind, somebody that prays and covers us. All the other things. There's little intangibles and stuff like that, but primarily like just that love. Someone that if we're having going through a rough day, or we had a rough day, somebody's gonna care enough about us. Say, hey, babe, is there anything that I can do? Do you want me to, give you a back massage, or put on your favorite show, whatever that may be. Somebody that actually cares about us. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that actually has us on their minds. Someone that, like I think I've mentioned it before. Marriage has to be this selfless place. Somebody who thinks about their spouse and their well being. Because a lot of times men get caught up in just going through the motions, providing, working, and we can get kind of caught in that rigmarole, and nobody really notices us because we're just kind of to the back and kind of doing our thing, and providing for the family or whatever. But we have things that we like to do. We have, uh, we want to be heard sometimes. We want somebody to listen to the things that we deal with in life as a man. Something that someone that'll listen to us when we need to speak. Someone that just creates that peaceful household, atmosphere. You know, yeah. I mean, there's so much I can say to unpack that, but just in a word, I would say love.
Awesome.
That's beautiful. So, okay. And
Excuse me just a minute, guys.
Oh, so the word love, from what it sounds like to me, from what you said,
Yes.
it transfers, honestly, all the things that you said, it sounds like nurturing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So that you want somebody who will nurture you.
Yes.
Because you are doing the things that you see for, like, as far as you said, taking care of your family, being the provider, being the head of the head, you really want somebody who will be the heart. And you're saying that most men want someone who will be the heart. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So, do you mind sharing how old you are?
I'm 38.
Okay, I don't think men care about age the way that women do. Okay. So, you're 38 years old. You said you've been married for 3 years, which was 35. What things were you into or looking for, or how long had you been looking for your wife before you found her?
I was one of those people that said, I wanted to be married at 25. You know what I'm saying? I always had that number 25 for whatever reason, was always there. Obviously, I wasn't ready for that back then. But I moved to when I moved to Atlanta in 08. After I kind of was here for a while and kind of got used to things, I got plugged in to the singles ministry. Not as being a steward of it, but actually participating in it almost immediately when I came up here in about around 2008. So,
I want to stop right there and acknowledge that, because to me, what I've heard, and maybe you'll have to tell us from your perspective, and a lot of men say, oh, it's a meat market. They are deterred by single. And even because to be honest, I was a former World Changer church member, and I was actually a part of the singles ministry at one point. Right. And that was the common thing that was said, like, oh, men don't want to come. They feel like, the women are desperate. They feel like uncomfortable because it's a meat market. Was that the case?
No, I never felt uncomfortable. Like I wanted to meet my wife. Like I wanted somebody that had the same values and standards that I did. And what better place than to meet them at the church you actually go to? And so, when I was going to the singles ministry events, I would have been totally fine meeting my wife there. That's not how it happened there. I did meet her at church, but not at the singles ministry there. But I went there, would have been told, yes, we were there to have fun and learn how to, come together as single people, not just date. But, I would have been totally fine meeting my spouse there.
Okay.
That would have been totally fine with me. Yeah. Well, yeah. What was
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. I got lost. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I saw the train of thought. My question was, you didn't get married until you were 35. So what exactly were you looking for before you found her, and how did you know, like, okay, this is it?
Gotcha. I got you. Well, let me say this too. Before I actually found my wife, so I prayed for my wife, obviously, right? We always pray for our spouse first, right? So when I prayed for my spouse, and what I was looking for, when I prayed to God, he was going to be over there. What God did was he made me into a husband first before he showed me my wife. So, and he has a sense of humor. So, like he does things like, so for instance, praying, Lord, I like to be married, et cetera, et cetera. So he says, all right, Justin, go to Home Depot. I'm thinking, go to Home Depot, and get you some tools. Get you a toolbox. I want you to trade that car and I want you to get a pickup truck. I want you to learn how to use firearms. I want you to learn how to grill. I want you, and I'm thinking stuff like, why is, like, I asked for a wife. You go away around here doing all this stuff, but he was showing me, and I started serving with the Vision Keepers, which is other men in the ministry, and I was learning from them, gleaning from them. Most of them are married, so I was learning how to be a husband from being around good godly men that were serving. Also, he was developing me in my personal life first before doing it, and also he was showing me how to be faithful to his bride, to the church. He was showing me how to be faithful in ministry, faithful in serving people, because that's what marriage is going to be. You're going to be serving. And so, and then once I did all of that for a number of years, then I met my spouse. And the funny thing is, my wife is from St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and so while I was in Atlanta, looking for my spouse, she wasn't even here for years. She didn't come here till 2016. She wasn't even in the United States. So, and also she was actually serving in her church, so pretty heavily. Saying so we were both, honoring God and serving Him first, before God brought us together. Saying so I would always say, put him first, do those things first, well, he's going to do that for you anyway. When you pray to him, he's going to show you areas where you need to improve and things you need to do, because those are going to be the things that you're going to need to take into marriage to be successful. You know.
Amen. Amen.
Good. That's good point. Those good points.
Those are really, really awesome points because they're so practical. And I love it because God is such a practical God. We ask for something. What was the word of God say? You have not because you ask not. And so we ask. So he's like, all right, let me help you get prepared. And this is a question that I have for you too, because you were in the church. You're in World Changers. Are you still in there or no?
No, I'm not World Changers anymore. A lot of the satellites closed now, and we're at a different church now.
Got it. So you were in World Changers. You were in the environments of church. You know what I'm saying? And I am very curious, when you were there, because we have to understand this, was there a certain look that you were looking for in a wife?
Yeah. I mean, so both how she carried herself and physical. So I like dark skin. That's what I always like. So my wife is dark skin. So obviously that on the surface, but more so than that, I was looking for that woman that stood out. That wasn't blending in with the crowd. In her attire and how she carried herself. Um, and my wife, I would see her. So I had a job at the time where I was working, and I had started working on Sundays. So I was missing a few Sundays, and I didn't really have peace about that. So I was like, I gotta go back to church. What I'm saying, I'm missing, and I don't like doing that. And so I started going back, and I guess between the time that I had stopped going and then came back, she had came to the church. So at first, I knew everybody there. What I'm saying? At first, I was like, I knew everybody, but so I was like, who's this girl over here? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't, she kind of stood out, like, who is this? And I started asking around about her, kind of doing my research. Just kind of asking around, and almost kind of through happenstance, my friend, she's sang on the praise team. So one of my friend guys said, "Oh, that's Rita's friend." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She said, "Oh yeah, we'll y'all can I'll tell her about you, and we can hook something up, and y'all can come to our house for after church dinner." And so I ended up going over there. They ended up setting it up, and we actually met for the first time at our friend's house. For after Sunday dinner, and that's the rest is pretty much history. You know, I talked to her, and then this is a quick little tidbit too. If any guys are listening, I'm gonna just say this. Um, when I um when I first met my wife, she always said this when I was sitting in my friend's living room waiting to meet her. She said the first thing she knows was my shoes. So, yeah, so any guys,
That's a lady.
so
She's
any
such a
guys,
girl.
just a slim fit. I had on some Cole Haans, some blue suede. I know that's random, but I just felt like I needed to put that out there.
Nope, it's really not. I promise you, Justin, it's really not. You would be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, how often women will judge a man or like just check a man out by the shoes that he's wearing.
Yeah. So I mean, I know you said, what made her stand out, but that part, she's always reminded me when she first, saw me in person to meet. That stood out to her, and she to this
Okay.
day, whether it be Father's Day or birthday, she'll buy me a new pair of Kohan. So that's just
Oh,
something
That's
that we
so
do. So, yeah.
that's sweet.
that
So,
is really, really sweet.
so I want to connect back to, just want to make sure for our audience is really understanding. And even though, okay, with the physicality, because I think God is concerned about that as well. He cares about what you like, but it's not
Yeah.
like he's caught up in it, because he can see further than that. But I just want to
Right.
spend a little bit of time on it. Like when you were saying, you typically like dark-skinned women.
Yeah.
Did you pray any physicalities when you were praying in this prayer to God?
Yeah. I mean, I had like dark skin since I was like high school, so I knew I wanted my wife to be
And
dark
what can you
skinned.
tell us
So
about that? Like where did that come from? I love it.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the opposite. I don't know if because I'm light skinned. I don't know if that. I don't know if that's what it is. If it's like an opposite thing, but her. And don't get me wrong. Between high school and adult life, of course, I dated different in between, but it still wasn't the same. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, because I at one point I thought I was being shallow and limiting myself, and I was
Okay.
like, well, maybe I should, But after a while, I said, I'm not gonna do that. And matter of fact, I'm glad you asked me that because it's very important. I'll say this: when you get specific about what you want when you pray, you won't let anything else invade that, and you'll know what your prayer, your blessing looks like because of what
Mm,
you asked for. So, for example, there are lots of young ladies that were great. They were light skinned, but I told myself, I said, no, I want to wake up to chocolate every morning.
mm,
So when I even though they were great women that I met along the way, when I was really got serious about I want to meet my spouse, I didn't entertain anything but dark skin. I it just and that was not to be shallow, but I just said, you know what, I know what I want and I'm specific about this. And as soon as I did that, I met her. When I stopped
mm.
entertaining anything that was not what I prayed for, and not
Wow.
just the skin tone, how a woman acts that I might
Yeah.
have prayed for, whatever it was. When I
Yeah.
stopped compromising, I immediately
That's a good
I met her.
point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Do you hmm, do you feel like there may be times where people could pray for something that might be their preference, but they may miss God because they're so stuck on it? Maybe something
No,
physical.
so I think God puts those things in our hearts anyway. You know what I'm saying? So when you want something and it's truly your desire, and He wants you to be happy. He don't want you to say, well, Lord, I said I want this, but you give me this thing over here. I don't think He's really like that. If you want chocolate or you want tall, whatever it is that you want, I believe He has it. As long as it's according to His word. You know,
Right.
um, you know, other than that, those little preferences and stuff, I think he's totally fine with it. I don't think you're gonna miss out. It's just like I said, I was meeting girls that were great, but they weren't what I had asked for. You know
Mhm.
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And you have to understand, you're gonna be with this person for the rest of your life. So if you compromise that, you don't want to be looking at what you said you wanted, but you got this. You don't want to give the devil any kind of room. You know what I'm saying? To tempt you because you always said you wanted such and such and such, but you settled for this, and
That's
now
so
such and
rich.
such walks by, and now you looking over there because that's what you still in your heart that you really want. So
Justin,
so I
that's so
didn't.
rich. It's so
And I
rich.
love
It's
it.
so rich. It's so rich. And I'm so grateful because this was actually a point that I was kind of leading into beforehand, but I wanted to hear where you were coming from. And the point was that, or the question was, do you think that there are some men, excuse me, that there are some men who desire something physically, but because greater society says that that's not beautiful, that they choose
Mhm.
something else?
No, I mean, God, like I said, what does the Bible say? She was fair to look upon. Whenever he's talking about women and stuff like that, he doesn't mind you, having your preference of what you like. And just like I said, I just truly feel like, within balance and within reason, he puts that in your heart. You know what I'm saying? Of what you're attracted to or um what you desire, whatever your desires are. My wife said she liked beards. I can't even show, she's never seen me without a beard in person, just maybe on pictures. So she's more I'd have to get her permission to shave, if I were to ever do it. So it's just stuff like that. And then you just, me, because we say, men are the pursuers. We're looking, for our spouse, but some of them, they be looking for us too. My wife said she noticed me in church. You know what I'm saying? So she was looking around,
Yeah.
and it just kind of, we kind of met in the middle there.
And I
So.
think there's balance. Everybody has a tailor-made story for sure. Personally, I'm just sharing that I've heard people say like they could, to be honest, they could have been stuck in something, a version of something, an old version, or what they, like I
Mm,
think Anja was alluding to, like societies, back in the day it was light skin with long hair. Well, what if it's perhaps God was wanting to present something that was equally attractive to that person, but because they were stuck on an old season, they weren't even willing to entertain it. So I think it's everybody's story is, kind of tailor made.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
That's beautiful. Excuse me. I was having a whole coughing back here because that's how good the conversation was. My next thing, excuse me, for what men of God want is, what would you suggest as a man of God who is 38 years old? What would you say to the current generation who are in their 20s? Because things are not the same way that it were when we were in our 20s.
Right, absolutely.
What do you have to say to them?
So I know it's crazy out there now, and but God is still God, and He knew the end from the beginning. He already knew we were going to be in a time such as this, and marriage is still important to Him. It's still His covenant. So first and foremost, trust Him. Okay, don't get caught up in society and statistics and numbers and all this kind of stuff. Because if you feed too much of that into your mind, you're gonna start feeding doubt into your mind, and you're not gonna believe that you can do something because you're gonna be looking at skewed statistics from the media where you don't even know where they got those statistics from. But we can't be so quick to believe that stuff that we don't believe what God said. So when you trust Him and you actually pray to Him and give Him the desire, He'll give you the desires of your heart. So trust in Him. Don't worry about all the stuff that's going on, all these different apps and Tinder. And so I was on those apps too. You know, and I know it's different. It's not. Back when our parents were growing up, my dad could have probably closed his eyes and pointed, and he'd be pointing at a good woman. But now, but now it's different, and vice versa for the women. It's just not the same. But like I said, I had no way of knowing. My wife was in St. Croix, and he give me an option to get back plugged into the ministry, and my friend knew him, and there I would find my wife. So it's still divine. He is still the master matchmaker. I put it on my I put a post up asking people where they met their spouse, and believe it or not, a good portion of them still said church. So you can still meet your spouse in church. You probably always will be able to. I know the three main places I saw were school, work, and church. So and basically that's because of community, familiarity. Places where you frequent a lot, where you have a community of people, where people feel safe. You're more likely to meet your spouse in those areas. Not saying that's the only place you can meet them, but more so than just apps and stuff like that. Get plugged into a church. I would say, if you're going to school, if you're thinking about it, and if your company or your work has extracurricular things or programs you can get plugged into, consider doing that because you could possibly meet your spouse there. So, yep.
So good.
Those are such amazing points. So amazing.
Yeah.
I got a twofold question for you. And this is going to be our last thing. The first question is, what do you love about marriage? And then the second question is, what do you love about being married to your wife?
Okay. So marriage. So what do I love about marriage in general?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The institution of marriage.
Yeah. So on the first part, what do I love about marriage? There's so much. One is having that best friend that's right there with you, having that partner with you for the rest of your life. I can turn over right there and just ask my wife, anything personal. Babe, what do you think I should do about this? What about this over here? I love being able to talk to her and for us to decide together, what to do best for our family. I love that. Um, Speaking of that, I love that we're growing a family together. I love the family aspect of it. Going out with her and my daughter to church or to get lunch or dinner, going to the park. Going out as a family, traveling as a family. We went to Cancun with my baby girl the other day. She had passport and everything. She's 1 year old. So just doing stuff like that. With her. The parts of marriage that make you work on yourself, believe it or not, because marriage gets selfishness out of you. You know what I'm saying? Like I almost think God puts people together on purpose that have differing opinions. Like She want I want the fan on when she don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm hot, she's cold, like whatever. So you learn how to compromise. You learn how to you know, kind of get those selfish things out of you and think about what your spouse needs and how best to serve them. I love what else? Just doing life together with somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just being able to grow old together with someone. The family's coming together from both
Yeah.
sides. So your family gets bigger. You know, it's an addition. It's not a subtraction. I didn't take her away from her dad. She gained the son. He gained the son. You know what I'm saying? So just
Mhm.
stuff like that. It's just bringing everybody together. So I love all of it. I love that aspect of it. Now, what was your second part?
So you actually tied both of them in because my
Okay,
first
I
part
think
was
okay, I
what
was
was
kind
the
of good.
institution of marriage. Then I said, what do you love personally about your marriage? But you definitely gave us some good things that you love about your marriage.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to add
And
anything else, I'm asking.
let me see. Personally about my marriage. Um, I like how her family embraced me. You know what I'm saying? Like when we came together and like our wedding was such a party. It was, I mean, Caribbean people in there, doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really great, I think back of it and we just had so much fun. And then we went to Jamaica for our honeymoon and it was just fun. The way they've embraced our daughter, it's a lot. It's her parents' first grandchild and her sister's first niece,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So it's just seeing them and how they've taken to her, and even just my wife's growth, just looking at her. 'Cause my wife was very like reserved and meek, and just seeing her grow into not only this amazing wife but a mother. Like just seeing her go through our pregnancy and delivery, I gained so much more respect for my wife. I already respected her, but I just respected her even more so seeing her go through that.
I love it.
So, um, but yeah, that's what I was saying in that show. Yeah,
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Everything that you gave today was 100%, and there was some really powerful nuggets. We really appreciate having you on the show.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And I
absolutely.
love
Yeah.
these very I love, and I'm talking about you in front of you, but I just love the fact that you're, I don't know, whoa, like you're just very open and
Aware.
aware in
Mhm.
terms of the things concerning marriage. And I know that it's not always a cakewalk, like you said, because it is
No,
a
no,
level of
no.
dying to yourself, but
Yeah,
just it's so refreshing, right? To
Yeah.
hear the level of enthusiasm that you have about your marriage.
He's in love
yeah,
with
yeah,
love.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You are.
yeah,
You're in love with love. So
yeah.
we're gonna go and exit this show, but we want to just thank you again so much, Justin Norwood, for being our guest on today's podcast episode. This will be airing on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. And we just want to thank everybody who continues to watch our podcast, who continues to support us as we grow. We are family. This is community. There is not anybody who is greater than anything. We just come together to celebrate love. If you follow us on Facebook, make sure you leave comments. And if you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, also leave comments. Make sure that you comment, and you subscribe. And
As
we are
well as
signing
TikTok.
as well as our
Mhm.
TikTok. Yes, we're on all of these socials out here, okay? We are building and we are very grassrooty. So until next time, you guys, thank you so much.
Thanks, Justin. And until
Thank you.
next
Thank you for
time,
having me.
we say stay in love with love.
Stay in
All
love
right.
with love.
Bye.